We're muted. Hey, everybody. How are we doing? I was like, we're going to be muted. I mute the mic in between. How's everyone doing? I just made the office hours. We should be streaming. They're streaming on the internet. See how everyone's doing. No one's watching yet. We are so close to 1 million views on the YouTube channel, which is so exciting. Let me go see. I'm going to go check out the YouTube analytics while we do this right here. Let's go look at those YouTube analytics. See how we're doing. We're so close to 1 million views. We are 1,000 views away from 1 million views. 1 million views on the channel, which will be absolutely insane to get. So if you're here checking this out right now, I'm trying to make like a video, and we're gonna do like that Elon Musk invite. Elon Musk. I don't know how to say things. I don't know how to say words. But it's really crazy. Like we've been doing better and better each year, which is really cool. Which I really like. We have 85,000 views so far. 85,000 views. And last year at this time, so we have 85,000 views this year. Last year at this time, we had 66,000 views. And the year before, it's going to be way different. So the year before, we had 43. So every year we've been growing. We've been getting more and more views and more watch time. Hey, what's up, Julia? Good to see you here. What are you working on, Julia? I'm just looking at the YouTube analytics right now. So it's so fun to look at analytics. I'm such a nerd. I'm like, oh my God, we got to check out these analytics. How'd yesterday do? Oh, no. We were a little low on views yesterday. Oh, no, I don't know. It's hard to tell. The first few weeks we have, I try to keep that energy coming. The Chapter 10 quiz, which one are we working on? Chapter 10 quiz. Let's pull it back up. Which one are you working on? We were working on that earlier, but let's do more Chapter 10 quiz. We're just hanging out right now. Feel free to ask that question on the Chapter 10 quiz. I'm getting it ready here. Chapter 10 quiz is a big one due tonight. So if you are watching this video or any of the other videos, I've marked a lot of the videos on what we've done. You know, let's see how. Chapter 10, which one are you working on? Let's see, put the problem in the cat. Same, Daria. Good to have you here, Daria. I'm working on the environmental agency one about soil samples. Yes, I clicked the wrong one. Let's get the environmental agency one about soil samples. I don't think I marked did I mark that one yet? I think we've done it. Okay, here we go. I will find it. So what they do is there's different versions of this quiz, and you can't always get every question. So let's get the environmental agency. I came to YouTube to watch Office Hours video and saw the Office Hours are live. Yeah, Daria, great to have you here, Daria. Whichever question you're working on, just feel free to tell me. I'll do the soil sample one here first, then we can do whichever one you're working on next, so we can explain how to do it. So glad to have you here, Daria. Thank you so much. Let's throw some points in. Mubot, are you awake? Let's add some points to the viewers, Mubot. Mubot, you awake? Is Mubot awake? Mubot. Mubot is awake. I'm going to reset Mubot. Resetting Mubot. He breaks the universe. Okay, let's find the soil sample question, see if it exists in this version. That might be a version of one that has the soil sample question. It's just they change what the question is each time you do it. That one's not. This, I think, could be it. Hello, Mubot. I think it's question 8. Oh, we found it. We found it. Here we go. We found the soil sample question. Okay, this one's a tough one. Oh, we're doing a tough question to start. Let's do it. Oh, get stretched. Get ready. Gotta get ready for Stats 101. Okay, so the population. The population is all people or things we're interested in understanding. So when we think about what a population is, it has to be everything we want to collect data on. So what is the population? Well, we're interested in the soil around a former waste dump. We're not interested in, that could be the parameter we're interested in, former waste dumps. Well, I mean, yes, but we're interested in the soil around it. Different possible locations, that'd be the sample frame, the areas we could collect from, and they're saying we want to collect soil around this toxic waste dump. What is the population parameter of interest? Let's take a look. Environmental agency took samples around 14 locations near a former waste dump and checked for evidence of a toxic chemical. Now, this one's tough. I believe, because it's going to be whether or not it contains the toxic chemical. This one's going to be a tough one. I believe it's going to be the proportion. We're going to start today with maybe a wrong answer or two. The proportion is the proportion of samples containing high levels of toxic chemicals. I believe that's going to be it, because it's either going to have a toxic chemical or not have a toxic chemical. and they're looking for evidence of toxic chemicals. And this is more specific because the proportion is something we can collect on when we take samples here. The proportion, which I believe we should be doing it this way, is something we can collect data on right here. So let's go look at our statistics. And here's our statistics and parameters. And the proportion is definitely something we can collect data on. So I'm going to go with the proportion right there. Next, what is the sample frame? So this is anything we could collect data here. I'm going to pause on this one because I think this one's a fairly obvious answer. Don't worry if you get it wrong. This is a tougher question. What is the sample frame? And I'm going to repeat what it is again, just theoretically. The sample frame is anything we could get data on. That kind of gives away the answer. Just think about anything we could get data on is the sample frame. So is it A, B, C, D, or E? What is the sample frame here? It's anything we could get data on. What is the sample frame? It's anything we could get data on. So the sample frame will be anything we could have collected data on. So is it A, B, C, D, or E? It's anything we could have collected data on theoretically. It's not what we get data on. That's the sample. It's not what we want to understand. So at least all soil around it. So all the samples taken is the sample. This will be the sample right here. Good. Don't worry, Julia. Great answer. I'll show some 20 points for some positivity. That's going to be the sample. So anything we get data on will be the sample, but the sample frame would be any soil we'd have access to. I'm just trying to make that go away. The sample frame is going to be exactly right there. Don't worry. This is where we practice. We're like, oh, the sample frame is anything we could have gotten data on, which the sample frame is more theoretical. If you go to the library and you speak to 50 students, what is your sample? If you go to the library and speak to 50 students, what is your sample? So this will help draw the distinction between sample and sample frame. If you go to the library and speak to 50 students, what is your sample? What would be your sample if you go to the library and speak to 50 students? You go to the library, you speak to 50 students, what is your sample? The sample would be what? You go to the library, you speak to 50 students. Your sample would be the what? The sample would be the what? You go to the library, you speak to 50 students. So Dario, you're close. That's going to be the next question. The sample would be the 50 students you speak to. Does that make sense? The sample is going to be the 50 students you spoke to, but the sample frame is going to be the students in the library. Does that make sense? I kind of switched it up with the question. I went to what is the sample? The 50 students is the sample because that's what we have data on. So the sample is what you get data on. And then the sample frame, great job right there, Daria, would be the students in the library because that's all the students we have access to. Does that make sense? Like your sample is the 50 students you spoke to. The sample frame would be any students in the library. Awesome job. Phone's ringing in the background. What is the sample for the study? It's going to be these 14 samples. So that is what we actually have data on. And then what sampling method was used? Ooh, I do not like this question. I don't like this question. They're going to 14 locations. I really think it's going to be not clear. It's not really clear how they're doing that. I don't like that one. Is the sampling method random? I don't see random throughout here. I'm going to say it's not known. I'm worried about this one too. I'd say it's not known because they didn't say it was random or not random. Who was left out of the study? I really don't think there's anything left out. Unclear, but probably nothing because you can't say the locations, the soil at other, because we're not interested in like this toxic waste dump, the location near the former toxic waste dump that were not chosen. No, you just don't choose things. That's what do we mean by left out here? We mean things that we're not including, like undercovering. Like if you go and you only talk to freshmen, you've left out other classes. Like that'd be leaving out people. But if you take students around campus, you're not leaving out the students you don't talk to. So I don't think anything was left out here. I don't see any clear source of bias there. What type of bias is present? I don't see any. I don't see any bias. I just can't think of any right there that would apply to this. It seems decent. What problems can you see in generalizing to the population of interest? Some former waste dumps may not. We're looking at this former waste dump. Near former toxic waste dump. That's possible. I'm worried about that right there. Some soils may be more. That doesn't matter. We didn't take too few samples. It's either going to be none or A. Ooh, I'm scared. Is it seriously going to be this one? Yeah, I thought it was this one was fine. This should be fine too. Yep. This should be fine too. Yep. It gets its one. I'm pretty sure this is fine. Yeah, that was fine. That was right. Is it this one? It was not clear. Yeah, it was not clear. Where do we get it wrong? That's right. What did I do wrong? Well, it's one of the early things. This is 100% right. This is 100% right. My head will explode if. Yep. Was it really like the first question? The parameter. Oh, it's gonna be this one. Is it the levels? You gotta be kidding me. I think that's ridiculous. They're trying to measure the chemicals. I don't know if you're trying to see what proportion. It just, I guess it says checked each evidence of. Yeah, you know what? Your answer is not clear here. That's ridiculous. I don't like that, my Pearson. Not today, my Pearson. That's your one, my Pearson. Once I got to this one, I was like, oh god, I remember this one that we were like, oh, what are they measuring about those toxic chemicals? So we try to make our test a lot more clear than this. My Pearson gets its 1 today. Please tell me if something like this happens to you on your quiz. People emailed me last night. I gave points back. Some people had like 97s, and I was like, here you go. If you're making a 97 and you miss something small like this, just tell me. You can't miss like 10 things and be like, hey, Brian, I missed these 10 things. I'm like, no. But that's our first one. We didn't get any wrong this morning. We got one wrong yesterday. This is our one today. So it's my Pearson just. It's just, I mean, look at it. The parameter is what you want to measure about the population, what you're interested in. So are they interested in how many of them have toxic chemicals? That'd be the proportion. Or the levels, like what do you mean by levels? Like the percent of toxic chemical, like how much toxic chemicals? They're checking for evidence. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about high levels. They're just looking for evidence. They should say this should say the proportion of samples that contain chemicals, and then that'd be more in line. It doesn't say anything about high levels, so that's kind of maybe a tell there. I'm just trying to put this in my brain for the next time I do it, because that's just, it could be worded better. I think the problem is a lot of these work better if you just kind of answer them as like free-form written questions, and you would just say they're interested in measuring something related to the proportion of toxic chemicals or how much the toxic chemicals are. Does everyone understand the parameter of interest is what we just want to understand about a population? That's your big takeaway right here. Like, I was watching a math instructor and they were saying it's not about like doing one question repeatedly. It's about understanding the themes of the question. So what is the parameter? The parameter is what are we trying to measure? So if we do another version of this, which it should give different versions, a magazine interviewed 1,032 people. The magazine reports that when asked when do they think global warming is a problem, so that's what their parameter is. They're asking, do you think global warming is a problem? So what's the parameter of interest? The proportion of people who think that global warming is a problem. This one makes it a lot more clear. It's not the people who responded, not the people who subscribed, and not the people selected. So this version right here is way easier than the other one. So you can, the toxic, like this one makes it very, very clear. Like they're asking people, do you think global warming is a problem? And these people right here are the people who are responding. And this is what they want to understand. So they literally show you the percentages here. And I keep meaning to contact my Pearson about some of these questions that are like, your question isn't really that clear. Maybe you could add a few more words to make it pretty obvious what you're talking about, because this one makes it super clear because here's their sample statistics, and then they relate it right here to the population parameter. Remember, sample statistics are our estimate of population parameters. So in other versions of this question, they make it way more clear. That's the global warming version again. There's the environmental agency. Researchers, they stopped the 7th adult and asked them, do they think drinking and driving is a problem? Drinking and driving is a problem, so that's going to be the parameter of interest. They're trying to measure, what percent of adults think drinking and driving is a problem. So it would be the proportion, which is percent of adults who think drinking and driving is a serious problem, and they make that super clear up here where they're asking people, do you think drinking and driving is a serious problem? And that would be the statistic they collect from all the people, and then that would estimate the parameter. So once again, I think it's way clearer in these versions of the questions what the parameter is. So I think that's way, way easier. What questions are there? We have open time for questions. If you're working on Daria or Julia, if you're working on any of the questions right now, just be like, hey, can you work this question? Yeah. Understand what the parameter is. The parameter is what we want to understand about a population. So I'm sorry that one question is not that clear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we've added it to this quiz. You're like, it's your fault, Brian. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. Can we do the one about the large school system? Yeah, the PTA one. That's a really good practice problem. It's one of those ones if you get down. Wait, where you go? PTA problem. The PTA problem is a very good practice problem to make sure you understand. We haven't done the bias one yet. We probably should do that one next here, because I haven't put that in a video yet. Okay. So with this question right here, there's a few tricky ones on it, but we've done this. We've gotten hundreds on this every time. We've done it like 5 times already, but let's do it again. Really great practice to see if we know the different types of sampling. We're going to randomly select 150 parents and send them a survey. We're going to follow up with home visits. So we're going to select these parents right here. We're going to go to our, let's say our school has 2,000 parents, and we're going to randomly select 150 parents. You got it, Ansley. Let's do it. So, oh, you got that. We'll do that one next, Ansley. So we're selecting random students. We're selecting random students from parents. Every student's been given a number, and we're selecting these students randomly. Every student's been given a number. We're selecting these students randomly. What kind of sampling method did we just do right here? A, B, C, or D? So we just visualized what we were doing. Every student was given a number, and then we selected these numbers randomly. What type of sampling method did we just do? We did simple random sample. Everything's given a number, and then we select those numbers randomly. So this is simple random sample. And as long as, follow up with a home visit if they do not respond, that'll stop non-response bias. So as long as they do this properly, bias is not going to happen because they're following this up with a home visit. So they're selecting random students. Good way to get remove bias by just choosing students randomly. Then they're going to make sure there's not non-response bias by going to the home and making sure people actually respond, being like, hey, kind of weird. You need to respond to our survey. Put a big ad in the newspaper asking people to log their opinions on the PTA. This is a horrible way to do a survey because what 2 choices are we going? Oh, no. Do we have it? Okay. Yeah. It's going to be voluntary because it's either voluntary or convenience. It's a bit of convenience, but since we've got the voluntary bias right here, people who have a strong opinion are going to reply. That makes it kind of obvious that these two are paired. You have voluntary response bias because people are volunteering to respond, and that's going to make voluntary response bias. So these two are paired right there. I don't find that one that interesting. That's a bad way to do things. Randomly select one neighborhood and contact the parents of every student. I love this one. I'm not even going to show you the answers because we were doing this one today in class. You should have it narrowed down to 2 right here. So which is this, strata or cluster? So be very careful. Is this strata or is this cluster? Is this strata or is this cluster? And do not worry about getting it wrong. Put yourself out there right now. I'm going to throw 20 points. I don't care if you get it wrong. I don't care if you get this answer wrong. Is it strata or is it cluster? Cluster. Is it strata? I don't know. What do people say? We're going to randomly select one neighborhood and contact the parents of every student. And I'm going to re-ask it and see if you confirm your answer again. What's up, Bryce? Good to see you here. Good to see you. Feel free to ask any questions, Bryce. So we're between 2 right now. We're between strata and cluster. So let's see right here. Let's see. If it is cluster, here's how cluster would work. If it is cluster, we are going to put items randomly into clusters. Then we're going to randomly select a cluster, and then we're going to take a census on the whole cluster. So we're going to take a census on the whole cluster. If it's strata, then we're going to acknowledge a difference to start, and then we're going to sample randomly within that strata. But you notice the end part right here of this one. So which one? I want to see some exclamation marks. Which one is this? We're going to randomly select one neighborhood and talk to every parent in that neighborhood. And the last part super gives it away. The last part is it definitely has to be treating it as this. So the last part, definitely, I want to see this. You write the answer again, but with an exclamation mark to be like, I know it is this. Because we're going to take a certain group, and then we're going to talk to every person in that group. It is cluster. It is cluster. So don't worry if you got it wrong. Don't worry if you got it wrong. This is cluster because when you do clusters, you take a whole bunch at one time and you do a census on it. So when you do strata, you're going to maybe acknowledge differences. And how many neighborhoods would you be sampling from? Let's say there's 50 neighborhoods the kids come from. How many neighborhoods would you be sampling from if you did strata? So we have 50 neighborhoods these kids come from. I think I can draw that kind of quickly. So we have 50 neighborhoods these kids come from. If you do strata, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 50 neighborhoods. If there's 50 neighborhoods, then how many neighborhoods would you sample with strata? With stratified, you'd sample from how many neighborhoods? How many neighborhoods would you sample from with stratified sampling? Because you got some bigger neighborhoods And so like here's a bigger neighborhood right here. You'd sample from all 50. And what you would do is you would sample randomly within these strata, and you would sample random students, but you'd make sure you'd get all the neighborhoods because you're acknowledging the differences. So this is what stratified sampling would look like. Does that make sense? Like you're sampling randomly a certain amount from each neighborhood relative to how big the neighborhood is. Bigger neighborhoods would have more samples. And so that's stratifying. But if you treat them as clusters, you would probably do something like this. If you treat the neighborhoods as clusters, which might increase some bias, what are you doing now by treating the neighborhoods as clusters? Brian has now taken how many neighborhoods and then done a what on those neighborhoods? That's what I hope to do, Daria. This is the really hard topic. Daria, thank you so much. Because this is where the confusion is. If you notice, I do the voluntary one. I was like, yeah, it's voluntary bias, whatever. And then this one, I'm like, we have to focus on this one. We got to focus in. And so we could, this question has us do a census on one, theoretically, HTT, good point right there. This question says a census on one of them. Theoretically, you could take 4 clusters. You could take 4 neighborhoods and do a census on all 4. I mean, maybe it's going to create some sort of bias here because maybe these neighborhoods are different. So that's my concern because the neighborhoods are not randomly put together. And this is us talking about cluster sampling the ice cream versus stratified. That's a stratified sample of the ice cream. That's a cluster sample of your Neapolitan ice cream right here. So this is definitely going to be, what did we say? This is cluster sampling. What kind of bias would result? Yeah, exactly. Under coverage, it might not be representative of all neighborhood groups. Ask parents their opinions at the next PTA meeting. That's going to be a little bit about, I think it's going to be convenience. You always don't see voluntary. And we're going to undersample parents who don't go to the PTA meeting. Under coverage, since the parents in sample may not be, I mean, this is true. They may not be representative of all parents. That's true. Undercoverage bias, since only parents involved with the PTA would be sampled. Woo! Scare quiz. We only get one wrong. That's all we get. We get them all right. That's what we do. It's a tough question. It's a tough question. I like it. This one's tough good. It's easy to make mistakes on this one. This one's tough good. The other one, parameter 1, I don't like the way it's phrased. I'm blaming that question since I got it wrong. It's like when you lose at the video game and you're like, this controller's broken. My little brother was playing and controller's broken. The controller's not even plugged in. It's broken. Why does it matter if it's not plugged in? Well, I don't know. It's 2 things. So with this right here, we've got this question. I think, was there another one? I think, Ansley, you bet, Ansley. Thank you, Ansley, for reminding me. A polling company results of a survey scroll down to the end of the published results, and you can find statement that includes words as shown. Oh, I don't think we've done this one yet. Thank you, Ansley. Is it this one? No, it's not this one. We will find it. Tell me if you see it. If you see it and I missed it. Here we go. We got it. Here we go. For the results, identify the population of interest. The population of interest is every person or thing we want to understand besides the BAS review quiz. What's the best way to study for the midterm? We're going to have a Kahoot tomorrow night. And I think just going through assignments. Yeah. Go through your assignments, Kahoot, and we're reviewing pretty much this whole week and covering new topics this week, but like using them to review. You'll see. If you were in class yesterday, you saw. So they're calling adults. So they want to understand adults. I don't know. They probably want to understand adults. I did this one earlier today too. So I have a good guess. I got it right earlier. So question wording, yada, yada, yada. So who do they want to understand? They want to understand adults. That's who they're calling. That's who they want to understand. That's what most surveys are trying to understand because you don't really have views when you're really young. So they're talking to adults. What do I mean? I don't mean when you don't have views when you're like in high school. I mean, you don't have views when you're like in elementary school. I mean, it's like you wouldn't go to someone and be like, who do you think is going to win the election? You form views. So they're limiting their views right here, or the population they're interested in understanding. So this is the group of people or things they want to understand. The company performs its surveys by phoning. This is the tough one people get wrong. So once again, we're talking about sample frame right here. And the sample frame is every person or thing they could have theoretically sampled, which means they have access to it. So would it be A, B, C, or D? And don't worry, this morning they got it wrong too. And don't worry, wrong answers let you get back on track. That's why we give wrong answers. So we can be like, actually, this is what we need to know. So what would be the sampling frame here? A, B, C, or D? Because the sampling frame is every person or thing we have access to. The sampling frame is every person or thing we have access to. So which of these represents every person or thing we have access to? Like, not that, like, I know you might be looking at one of the answers. I feel like we're going to put this answer, but it's the people like from the start we could have theoretically spoken to. You're right, Ainsley. Anyone with a telephone. A lot of people might be saying, well, why isn't it B? These are the people we are going to call. Well, yeah, but anyone with a phone could have had their number generated. So we could have spoken to anybody with a phone. So the sample frame is anyone we could speak to. We could speak to anyone with a phone. So theoretically, if you have a phone, you're in our sample frame. That doesn't mean we will speak to you, because then you'd be in the sample if we speak to you and you give us information. But this is going to be the sample frame right here. What problems if you see any right here? Some people don't have phones. That means we're going to undercover people, especially like homeless people or people who have lower income, or maybe a rich person doesn't want a phone. I don't know. You're like, I don't need a phone. Is that how rich people talk? I don't know. So some people do not have telephones. I think we've done it. We've done it right there. Is he from the Christmas Carol thing or something like that? Or that's Tiny Tim, or a little Tiny Tim. He probably grows up to be Mr. Scrooge. Like, wouldn't that be weird? They should do, what if someone did like a Christmas Carol too, but it's Tiny Tim. And he's like an old man. Everyone's like, hey, Tiny Tim. And he's like, I'm Tiny Tim. I just used a random name. I think someone else uses like Little Timmy. Or does a lot of YouTubers come up with like a random person to talk to? I can see that. You have to have your own side characters. We got mute button stuff. State police one, you bet. Let's do the state police. You got it. You're here. You get to ask the questions. That's the way it works during office hours. If you are here, you get to say, can you do this question? And so if I didn't do a question, if you're watching this, probably checking out the question. But if I didn't do a question, you're like, Brian, I didn't get to see this question this week. Come to office hours live. Ask your questions live. Your question goes to the top of the list if there's no questions. And Ansley right here has control of the board. Ansley, keep asking questions. I think it's best when people are asking questions. So I want people to ask the questions and say, hey, I'm here. Can you do this question? And that's exactly what I want. It might be that the state police is a different version of these ones. Let me see if I can get the state police question. So each question has different versions. And so, okay, I think this is a state police one. So we'll have to view a completed version of it. State police, you here? Maybe this is not the state police one. Last try on this one. Okay, that might not be the state police one. This was such a bummer. We did the amusement park one yesterday too. It's not gonna be the roller coaster one. I think it's over here. I found the state police one earlier today, I swear. Oh, wait. Here we go. Found it. Okay. So it's so hard to find them sometimes because they'll change them. And then every time I go back to the uncompleted problem, it'll keep to... I hate that they do that. They're like, we'll change this question. It's like, yeah. Yeah, Mubot. You're awesome, Mubot. So let's go right here. Let's do this question. State police want to estimate the percentage of cars. Okay, so what is this right here? The percentage of cars with up-to-date registration. What is the percentage of cars with up-to-date registration? That's what they want to understand. So we'll see the answer in a second. But state police want to estimate the percent of cars with updated registration. What will that be? That is the what. State police want to estimate the percentage of cars with up-to-date registration. Instantaneously, you should hear, we're talking about the what of interest. It's down here. Like instantaneously, you should hear that is, because that's what they want to understand. So like, we really want to know what percent of cars have up-to-date interest. I'm like, oh, that's your blank then. That is your what by knowing this is what they want to understand. So the thing they want to understand about the population, which the population is all cars, they want to know the cars, it's the parameter. Nice job, HDT, right there. Source some 20 points. It is the parameter of interest. The parameter of interest is going to be what they want to understand, and what they want to understand is the percent of cars with up-to-date registration. Now they're going to take a sample. So this right here is actually their statistic. If this is what they get from their sample, 11% is their sample statistic obtained from the cars that they stopped. So with this right here, identify the sampling frame. This will be all cars on that road because any car on the road is a car that theoretically could have been stopped. Remember, the sample frame doesn't mean they got information on it. It's just any car on this road is a car we could get, like we could talk to. We could look at the registration up. So what is the sampling frame, or sample frame as I like to call it, is going to be all cars on that road, because any car on that road could have been sampled. This is theoretical. It's not saying we will get info on it. Once again, the classic example I like to use is if you go to the library and you speak to 500 students, what was your sampling frame? So we're going to pause here. I want people in the chat to answer. If you go to the library, hint, 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 and you speak to students there, hint, 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 what is your sampling frame when you speak to 500 students? That's a red herring. Don't listen to the 500 students. What is your sampling frame when you speak to 500 students in the library? You speak to 500 students in the library, what was your sampling frame? If you know this example, you should be pretty good on understanding at least like conceptually what a sampling frame is. Boom, HDT, nice job. Students in the library. Because those are the students you could speak to. Any student who was in the library, you could be specific and say at that time, but that's exactly what I was looking for, is students in the library. So students who were in the library are students you could have spoken to. It doesn't mean you will speak to them, because the sampling frame is not about who we do get data on. The sampling frame is about things we could have gotten data on. Theoretically, anyone in the library you could have spoken to. Theoretically, any car on this road we can get data on. So that's what the sampling frame is. Identify the sample. The cars we stopped. The cars we got data on. Yep. Cars we stopped. And this is a great way to do the questions. See if you can answer them before looking at the answers. Think through this. Identify the sampling method used. So I think it's cluster at location, because I did it earlier and I couldn't think of it. Stay please set up a roadblock at a randomly selected street to question people. I wish this said all people. I can do it right here, HTT. Next. You got it. You got the next question. Let's talk about Pearson versus Spearman next. You got it. Next topic. Identify the sampling method. It's going to be cluster at location. I do think they should say they talk to all cars at this location, or they get data on all cars. Identify who, if anyone, was left out. Well, I mean, are they going to a road that's like crazy road where, I don't know, crazy road, crazy road. I'd say probably this road might not be representative of all roads, so I'd be worried about that. Local drivers that do not take that road, yeah. So we'd undercover that group right there. We're going to undercover groups. We're going to undercover anybody who does not take this road. Identify any sources of bias in generalizing. Well, yeah, we might have undercovered. That's what I'd be worried about. Cars can't really not respond. I mean, maybe someone's driving down the road, they see us and they turn away. That might be a non-response. Response bias, there's no real way that we can, like, what does it say for that? The survey discusses other ways to search our results that may do different in the population in general. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Good stuff right there. Good practice. Let's over here and talk about Pearson. You're welcome, Ansley. Anytime, feel free to ask more questions. Like, don't worry, especially when it's quiet like this. And especially if you're watching, you just saw our channel and you're like, hey, stats channel, and I don't have any answers. I don't have any questions. Like, it's like right after tests a lot of times we hit this like lull where questions go away, and then Brian's more doing like random Brian office hours. So you'll see more like me showing random statistics and stuff. But yeah, let's go over here. Now, the way I like to think about Spearman versus Pearson is when I think about Pearson versus Spearman, I think about Pearson like this. I think about Spearman like this. This is kind of your classic stuff right here. This is kind of my way of remembering these right here. And you can especially see the S in Spearman. I think this is a like good, just kind of quick way. So, hey, good to see you here, Garen. Feel free to ask any questions you have. Feel free to ask any questions. We're doing a little 320 right now. Talking about Spearman versus Pearson. Now, don't worry about the P part of the relationship. What do you notice mainly about Pearson? We always talk about Pearson being from Stat 201. Pearson needs to be this. Like, Pearson must be this. Like, Pearson has to be this, which I've highlighted the part that it has to be. Like, kind of, yes. So this has to be linear. Like, that's a must. Now, there's something people forget. We have another form right here for this. This goes in one direction. Your favorite band. My favorite band, too, of course. It goes in one direction. So what is the form of this since it goes in one direction? It goes in one direction, so what is the form of it? It goes in one direction, so what is the form of it? Probably just say it goes in one direction. Goes up at all times. That goes constantly up. So what is the form of it? Since it goes constantly up, it goes up, 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 up. What is the form of it? Since it always goes up. It always goes up. One direction. Something tonic. One tonic. It always goes up. Well, it's always positive, but you could have something that goes like this. You could have something that goes like this. You could have something that goes like this. And these are all what? These are all monotonic, yep. So what do we mean by monotonic? We mean it goes in one direction. Something that is non-monotonic would go up, now it's non-monotonic. Something that's non-monotonic would go up, now it's non-monotonic. It goes in more than one direction, like it goes up, and then it goes down, like here it starts going down. So non-monotonic means more than one direction. All of these graphics that I'm drawing right here are monotonic. A line's monotonic too, like a line has to be monotonic. Lines are monotonic because they go constantly up. But what we also are going to see here is, well, this has to be monotonic. Let's put stars on these. Stars, where you at? That has to be linear. This has to be monotonic. Like you cannot do Spearman versus Pearson, or you cannot use these properly. You can always use them, but you are not properly using them if your relationship is not linear for Pearson or if it's not monotonic for Spearman. If you break those rules, you are doing the things incorrectly. So what do we generally want? What do we generally want like Spearman to take care of for us? Well, Spearman's going to help with outliers. And it's going to help with heteroscedasticity. I can spell it when I don't have to spell it like this. Watch. I will spell heteroscedasticity. Heteroscedasticity. Have I done it? I'm not cheating. I've not corrected it. If I do not have to spell it, it's weird, but I know better how to spell things when I don't have to. I don't know if you're like me, but when I type, my brain does different things when I have to write. I'm very bad at writing, as shown multiple times whenever I try to just write something. But when I get to type, my brain knows what to do. I'm not even saying this jokingly. Like, I totally believe there are different neural connections in my mind for when I'm typing and when I'm doing all these different things. So yeah, I cannot. My handwriting is insane. Wrap text. Will I do it? Yeah, there we go. Heteroscedasticity. Look, we can actually read it now. Oh my gosh, maybe that's a good idea. The power of. I know, Garen. This is what happens when you give a 4-year-old a computer in the 80s, and then they never like learn how to write. All my teachers were like, "You need to know cursive." Yeah, right. Sorry. Oh, sorry, teachers. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean to you. I never use cursive now. I mean, my mom has amazing handwriting. My sister has amazing handwriting. My handwriting is horrible, and I teach. like it would probably help if I had good handwriting. If you find a genie and they give you wishes, wish for Brian to have good handwriting. Be like, my teacher, Brian Stevens, he's got really bad handwriting, and he would really like to be able to write things legibly. He tries his best. I oftentimes don't dot my I's or cross my T's. I'm bad. So it deals with outliers and deals with heteroscedasticity. Deals with nonlinear. I mean, so it doesn't nonlinear. I think it's got it. We did a Kahoot on this too, but does that make sense here that we have these issues that we have heteroscedastic? My handwriting is the only. Oh yeah, exactly. It's like I'm easily the worst. Like I don't know. Yeah, my dad writes legibly. Yeah. It's yeah, bad at it. You can, we'll look at some relationships here with data. Let's see. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Let's look at some data. You know what I could do? Could make something occur. Like, let's do this. Let's go x 1 through 100. Y is equal to 8 plus 2 raised to the yeah, exactly. Raised to the, oh, that's gonna be ridiculous. We don't want to do that. X times, what will this do? Give me a second. How will this look out? Okay. Let's go here and take a look at this plot. We go LM, Y tilde X. It's just there in the global data frame. Let's save this as a model M. Let's visualize the model M. And here's our data. Let's make this smaller so we can actually see it. And I think this kind of gives away the answer. I think there's something obvious going on right here. And you know it's going to be very interesting. The Pearson on this, if I had to guess, is probably about 0.7. It's got major problems. I'm going to say Pearson's on this about 0.7. 0.7, 0.8. A little bit higher than I thought. I almost went to 0.8 and I was like, that's too high. You don't need to be able to guesstimate stuff like that, but when do you think you'd have Miller's College come and talk? Yeah, I know, right? Let me see if I can contact one. I'll do that between office hours today. I'll see if I can do that. I'll reach out. I might have some ways of reaching out and say, hey, if you want to swing by and talk to them, like, that'd be awesome. You know what I might do? If he'd be willing, I could get him to do an interview. I'll maybe talk to Nick Brown. I've always wanted to interview him on the Stat 1 channel. But yeah, I'll tell him we're getting new Milton Scholars and stuff. He might be like, yeah, sign me up, man. I'll do the interview. We might have to do it like later this week. Maybe like Friday we'll do an interview. So this is a super obvious what relationship right here. This is a super obvious what relationship right here. Like, this is, like, if you used the other one, I'd be like, no! This one is as ridiculous as it gets, and it's even more obvious by putting that through there. Is this Pearson or Spearman? Like, if you saw this, you'd 100% use this type of correlation for this. 100% Spearman. This is so not linear that, yeah. So the Spearman is actually 1 because it's perfectly rank correlated. So it has a perfect rank correlation. Both of them are statistically significant. So, and this one's going to be more statistically significant. But you're seeing right here that this has a perfect rank correlation because as the rank of X increases, the rank of Y is perfectly correlated. So as the rank of X increases by 1, the rank of Y increases by 1. It's perfect rank correlation. So that's what the Spearman is. It's correlating the ranks. So you'd literally go here and say, you know, this is the lowest X, this is the highest. You know what we could do? Let's take this X value right here, and let's change the X value to the last X value. So I'm changing this last point right here, and I'm going to move it way over. Okay, so now it's over at 1,000. Just to see what it looks like, so you don't get to see the answers yet. There's what it looks like there. What is the rank correlation now? So it looked like this, and it looks like this. It looks like this right here, and it looks like this. What is the rank correlation now with the new data? I changed the data from this, which had a rank correlation of 1. And so that's the Spearman rank correlation, perfect positive rank correlation. And then now now I want to know what the rank correlation for this is going to be. What will the rank correlation for this be? And I can tell you exactly what the rank correlation is going to be. The rank correlation is going to be exactly the same. It's going to be 1. And there it is right there. And why is that? I want us to look at this plot for a second here. This right now is the whattest Y. This, look at the Y-axis. Well, that's the harder one to observe. This is the whattest Y. Just think about this. In terms of rank, if you were to say, like, going up here from the first, second, third, fourth, like if you go up on the Y-axis going up. Oh, Garen, thank you so much. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. BAS 320, I'll be teaching in the summer. I think I'm teaching in the fall. I'm teaching BAS 320 in the summer. So feel free, BAS 320 in the summer. This is the whattest y right now. Just think about this. If there's 100 y's, like this is the first, the second, third, you have the highest rank. It's the highest rank of y, which it was a moment ago. And then what is it on the rank of x? It's the highest rank of x, which is really easy to see. And what do we mean by rank? Well, because someone might be like, Brian, I don't understand this whole rank thing. When we talk about what ranks are the following. Let's look at on x and on y. So we've got x down here going from 0 to 100. And we've got y. Definitely check it out, Garen. If you ever have questions, email me. Definitely. And so let's look at point this, point here, point here, and point here. Okay. It's probably a bit of a linear relationship. I'm going to do something to make this a little more clear. Label this part of the video, what are ranks. There's y. Let's do blue and green. Okay. Looking on the x scale, what is the rank of this one right here? If you were to turn this one right here into a rank, what is the rank of this value right here? What is the x rank of that? What is the x rank of that? What is the x rank of this? So what is the x rank of that one right there? What is the x rank of that? What is the x rank of that? And to do rank, you just go from left to right. Well, so that's not going to, so that would be the value of it maybe. The rank of it's going to be there 4 points. So the rank can only go up to 4, and that's how it kind of deals with outliers. So rank right now can only be a number 1 through 4, 1 being the lowest, 4 being the highest. What would be the x rank of this value? What would be the x rank of this one? So the x value is going to have a ranks of what? Like this one right here, that point right there is going to have an x rank of what? So I'm going to do this right here like we're doing the code for it. That one's going to have an x rank of what? What would be the x rank of this one right here? It's going to be the lowest. Exactly. It's the first. That's when you say 1, I think, okay, that's the lowest. So that's the lowest. That's the second lowest. And I'm going just here on x. I'm just going this way across. I'm not worrying about the up, down. That's the y rank. So I'm just going across on the left axis. This is the third. Really? Really? It's the third. And then this is the fourth. Now going up on the y scale, this is a y rank of 1. I hate you, Microsoft Word. Good. Changes the colors again. I do not understand. Microsoft Word is possessed. There we go. So those are the y ranks going up on the y scale. So if you notice right here, we have x is a vector of 1, 2, 3, 4. If we just do it in that order, and then we do the same values, but do the y values for them, we're going to go right here, and the y values would be the values 1, 3, 2, and 4. It's just a reversal on those. So we can also view this. Let's go back here. I can kind of make this plot. I need to think how this looks. The values of x were something like 10, 30, 60, 80. 10, 30, 60, 80 about. So 10, 30, 60, 80. The values of y were a vector of that's 5. 5, 75, 30, 100. 5, 75, 30, 100. 5, 75, 30, 100. So if we go here to the model and make a model of it. There we go. We visualize this model. We should see something very similar to what we just created. Now let's go to plot of it for a second. Because I don't want to see the linear model through it. I want to see the full... Ooh, that scale. That scale is a bit nuts. That's not our scale. I'm going to need to change the... Oh, look at that. I love it. I love it. That looks very similar. I could probably move the points around a little bit. But that looks very similar to what we created. Does this make sense right here? This plot right here is very similar. And maybe we might get something better if we do the associate on it. There we go. And we see here the Spearman is this. But what if we did the following? If we took the x and y's and we put in the values we had, which were 1, and you can see it here, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 3, 2, whoops, 2, and 4. So now they are the ranks. And if we go here to core, and we go to y tilde x, what? Oh, comma. It doesn't take formula. What do we get? because we just did the correlation on the ranks. HCT, is this making more sense right here? What I did right now is I took the ranks we calculated and I did the correlation on the ranks, and that's what this is right here. This correlation right here is actually the correlation on the ranks. So you don't use the actual values to do the correlation, you turn them into the ranks, and then you do the correlation on the ranks. So I actually did that, like I did the steps right here, yeah. So hopefully that makes sense following along. Like I actually did the extra steps of turning it into ranks and then finding the correlation on the ranks, but it already does it for us. It's just good to understand mechanically what it's doing. So hopefully this makes more sense to when to use. And would you use Spearman or Pearson here? Even though the one's higher, I think, I don't know. You got so few data points. Well, neither is statistically significant, so it doesn't really matter. Both are probably by random chance. Like, but wait, it's 0.8. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a small sample. That can happen. I'd be like, let's go collect more data before we even talk about that. My answer would be, let's collect more data before we start deciding the form of this relationship. Let's collect more data and better understand before we start making decisions about how this looks, because I have so little data to base this off of. And so we only get 4 points. I'd say, well, then I don't want to draw any conclusions from this right now. It'd have to be stronger. And they're like, above 0.8? And I'd be like, yeah, it has to be better, because right now this could occur very easily by random chance. And our p-value is conclusive that it would probably be by random chance. Like, as in, it's very likely this is all by random chance what we're seeing. So at this point, it's really the back to the drawing board area where you're like, I don't think this is a good idea. I don't like this data. What other questions are there? Let's put on some music. I put this on today and I liked it. Just chill thinking music. I know my bottom songs so well. I know songs I got on the bottom row. I've got a whole row of songs. What was the difference between systematic sampling and semantic? Is there semantic sampling? Is there a sampling I don't know? Good to see you here, Andrew. Andrew Wind is the best. So good to see you. Semantic sampling. Semantic sampling of existing databases. I don't know what that is. Semantic differential scale. There's so many words. Why do we have so many words? I don't know what semantic sampling is. Andrew Wind is the best. We got a new quote today. Is it quote 67 or is it quote 65? I think it's quote 65. We're up to 65 quotes. What happens when we're up to like quote 100? I don't know. Will I have to restart it? Will I have to go back to the beginning? Will Brian have to restart the quotes and go back to the beginning? In 65, yep. It's the new quote today during office hours. You can always say, hey, Brian, that should be a quote. Like, especially if someone says something you really like it, that's the best way. No, you can say something too, like, but we want to add things that are fun, of course. So we want to add things like, I always want people to be like, can you put that as a quote? My question of life, why are there so many words? Why are there so many words? Why do we need to know all these words? We'll click a song I don't click usually. You ready? I've clicked that one lately. I don't know what mood this is. Like, I have a mood for it, and I'm like, I don't play this song very much. I don't know. It's up for removal. This one's too slow. It's too sappy. I'm good with this one. This one's good. You should. I do like that one. Was that quote request? You got it. Let's put it. Bass hits right there. I curated all this music. It's all music you can use on YouTube till I start getting copyright claims. Background. Stop doing your weird thing. Move. Thinking background. Don't break background. I really need to switch over to OBS. I really do. I just don't have everything set up in OBS. Quote 66 is in. Quote 66. Wait, I didn't do it properly. Have they finalized what you are teaching next semester? Yes. Next semester, I believe I'm teaching 4 preps. 201, 320, 474, and 475, I believe. I think so. I mentioned that on Reddit. Got upvote. Sounds very happy. I was like, thank you, people. I asked a question on Twitch Reddit about like OBS and Streamlabs, and it got downvoted by one person. I'm like, why is someone hating on me? Maybe they looked through, and I've asked similar questions, but I just can't make the decision to switch and don't know. They're like, just, yeah, I think it's better. And it's like, okay, why is it better? Change my mind about why it's better. Tell me. Tell me. The perfect quote for unlimited butter toast power. Nice, another cause, Brian. Yes. Thank you so much, Andrew. Executive Order 66. That's from Star Wars, right? Order 66. It's like when they like tell them, I don't know. Can you teach chem? Oh God. Yeah, if they hired me to teach chem, I'd be like, I know none of this. I know nothing about chemistry. Everybody go home. Class is over. I know no chemistry. I'm so like, if you take me out of my discipline, you'd be like, Brian's not that smart. Kill the Jedi? No. Oh man. What questions are there? It's the end of office hours. We're just chilling out. This is a good song. It's a good song. I've got the boss battle stuff. We don't use nearly enough boss battle stuff. Someone give a random number 1 through 7. 1 through 7. Let's betray our best friends. So if you think about a Darth Vader let R2-D2 get away from the Death Star's plans, really? With the Death Star plans. Number 5. Here's number 5. This is song number 5 on the boss battle. I think this song starts to warm up. This song, we'll do 4 next. Then we'll head off here in a moment. Is song number 5 of the music Brian rarely uses. Is there a skip? It's good, like... I could see this in like a time travel montage or something, like a like it's more of like a montage thing. I wish I could play like Star Wars music. This is all like music that YouTube lets you use. YouTube has like a section when you go into your user channel. Space. It sounds like spacey music, right? Like some sort of like something, you know, sci-fi is happening here. It sounds very sci-fi. Number 4 was requested. Number 4 is this one. I like this one. This one's like Space by Core Space. I haven't heard that one. This one, it's got a little dissonance right there. Like a little bit of like... This one's good. My favorite one, though, I think it's this one. This is number 3. Yeah. Scott, here we'll end with this. Yeah, get ready. He's about to hit. Quote from Portal 2. Portal 2 is great. Like, what's going on? It's the end of class. It's the end of office hours. Here we go, everybody. Get ready. Office hours about to end. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Office hours over.